Hello everyone, my name is Andrea,
And I'm Sushil.
and we're here to tell you what would happen if rocks could talk.
Now you may be thinking, rocks? That's boring. But actually, rocks are pretty cool.
Take, for instance, these.
But we're not talking about any rocks. We're going to be talking about crystals. But first, before we can talk about geodes and crystals, we first have to learn about the study of rocks, which is
Geology. Geology has to deal with the study of earth science. That involves things like studying how trees get their rings and how rocks go from igneous to sedimentary to metamorphic.
Now, like I said before, rocks, that's not very fun. But rocks are all around us, and we can see many different types of minerals and gems right in your own backyard. Now that we have hopefully inspired you to be interested in rocks, I need to tell you a little bit about the rocks and the rock cycle. The three types of rocks are igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. Igneous rocks are made up of melted rock deep from within the earth. Some examples of igneous rocks are obsidian, pumice, and granite. Sedimentary rocks are made up of layers of sand, silt, which is just a fancy word for fine sand or clay, chemicals, and other biological materials like dead plants, shells, or really old animal bones. These layers experience a lot of pressure and get so close together that they compact into a rock. Chalk is an example of a sedimentary rock. Finally, metamorphic rocks undergo intense amounts of heat and pressure to create rocks like marble.
The rock cycle tells us about how these rocks can form. Basically, it states that these types of rocks can turn into each other, but they require special forces to undergo the transformation into a different type. Examples of these special forces include heat and pressure, weathering and erosion, compaction and cementation, cooling, and even melting. Now you may be in a disbelief, but yes, rocks can melt. In fact, magma is melted igneous or metamorphic rocks.
Now, geodes are usually formed by igneous rocks, but really they can appear at any point in the rock cycle. When molten rock cools, sometimes air or water can get trapped in the rock, causing it to bubble up and form a hollow sphere. Over time, groundwater full of minerals seeps into the bubble, and those minerals begin to layer up, forming the crystals on the inside. Now, before we proceed with the demonstration, we first need to make sure we're staying safe, and we're going to do that by using PPE. PPE stands for Personal Protective Equipment, and it's to make sure that we can proceed with our experiments in a safe manner.
Even though we aren't in a laboratory setting, it's still good to make sure that we're being safe and that no one gets hurt during any experiment.
Now, before we start our experiment, let's put on our PPE. First, we're going to put on goggles. This is just to make sure we keep our eyes safe when we're performing the experiment. Then, we're going to put on our gloves. Our gloves are just to make sure we can keep our hands safe when we're working with sharp tools like hammers and chisels. Then, we're going to put on our lab coat. Our lab coat is just to make sure we can keep our arms and our body safe to prevent anything from hitting us that comes out of the rock. And finally, we need to make sure we have on our closed-toed shoes. That's all the PPE we need for this lab.
And there you have it, a beautiful quartz crystal and now a new decoration for your home.
We hope you learned something new today, and remember, science is fun!